Hello, hello. Claire Guest here with William Ravis Real Estate in the Guilford's office. And joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Brian Skelly, mortgage lender with William Ravis Mortgage.
Beautiful. And we have a few questions for you, and I'm sure this is top of everybody's mind. First thing you hear, mortgage, then you hear interest rates. Then you think, oh, the rates are going up. Can I buy a house now?
Sure. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So for those of you watching at home, we're recording this video on June 16th, 2022, which is worth mentioning because rates do change, and my advice next week might be a little different than it is this week. But rates have been going up, for sure in 2022 significantly. There's been a pretty big increase from the beginning of the year through to June in mortgage rates. And what impact does that have? It does make home payments higher. So generally, I think buying a home is a good idea regardless of the interest rates if you're pretty sure you're going to be in that house for a while. And we'll make another video that talks about why home ownership is a good idea. So I won't get into all that right now. But generally, you got to live somewhere.
Yes.
Buying a home is better than renting. So just look at the monthly payments, I think is important. When you're looking at affordability, I think it's easy for people to get sticker shock when people were used to rates, in the 3s and 4s, and all of a sudden, those rates aren't really available anymore. So, rents have gone up too. Everything's getting more expensive. Groceries, gas, rents, everything's going up. I mean, the good news is if you get a 30-year fix, at least you're going to kind of lock in that payment.
Yes.
Because it's a fixed rate mortgage rather than rents. Who knows where your rent's going to go. So, look at the monthly payment, make sure you can afford it, and, buy a house.
So
is that what you're looking for?
That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
But when you're talking about points, people say, oh, you can buy a point and lower your rate. What does that mean?
That's a great question. So I've become a lot bigger proponent of paying points recently since the rates have gone up for a couple reasons. Historically, in the past, everybody was like, no points, don't pay points, points are bad. And it's good to have an open mind about paying points because sometimes it's not a bad idea. So essentially, when you hear some lenders saying, okay, this is the loan with points, essentially what that means is you're paying an extra fee. It's a one-time fee, paid at closing, so just pay it once. It's usually, could be a significant amount of money, we might be talking about thousands of dollars. But what it does is it permanently gets you a lower rate for the whole life of the loan. So you're saving money every month, you're saving money every year. And so I calculate, okay, how much are you going to save per year in payments versus how much are you going to pay up front, and is it worth it? Okay. And in the past, I used to do those calculations, and I used to tell people like, it's going to be 6 or 7 years to break even, and a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not really worth it, I don't want to pay the points, which is fine. But what we've been seeing lately, since rates have gone up pretty quickly, is that the return on paying the points has gotten better.
Yep.
So now I'm starting to tell people, well, maybe it's more like 3.5 or 4 years you're going to break even. And like, for example, like sometimes I'll tell people like, hey, if you want to pay $6,000 up front, you're going to save $1,500 a year in payments.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I break it down for people. And people are like, oh, well, if I'm going to live there 10 years, it's going to save me $15,000 over 10 years. And it's going to cost me $6,000 up front. I want to pay the points.
Gotcha.
So that's how it works.
So points is like an investment on your investment.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for more tips, tricks, and advice from our mortgage guru. I'm Claire Guest.
I'm Brian Skelly.
Bye.